Hey guys, the Reefer here. This is going to be the January 2020 update of the 93-gallon cube aquarium. I've got Eli sitting on my lap right now playing with one of his baby toys. So if you hear like a bell or something, it is coming from the TV. I haven't really updated you guys on the tank for I think 7 months, June to December. And a lot has changed. So I made a list. The first thing was back in November. I think it was November, it may have been October. I added some T5s to the tank. So I got these T5s from a local reefer, Jeff. Anyways, it's an 8-ball fixture. It's called Acropora, so you can get it from Amazon. I looked on Amazon and a lot of reviews say it lasts about 2 years, which is fine with me. I didn't have to actually pay any cash up front. The reason I got the T5s was because I needed coverage in the front. I just had a suspicion that maybe the front of the tank, the front half that you guys are seeing now, was just not getting enough light. And after I put these T5s on, I think about 2 weeks after, I noticed immediately that some of the coral that had gone kind of brownish or whitish. They were getting a bit of color back, and I also started noticing growth in the front, which kind of sucks because I had set this up. This thing has been set up for maybe 4 or 5 months before I got the T5s, and that just seems to be time wasted. The other thing I did was on Black Friday I got a couple of gyres. So I got the max spec Gyre 330, and I'm running one horizontally, you can see in the top left, and then one in the back right is vertical, and that guy's just blowing flow across the back of my tank. And I think that really helps with detritus buildup. The other thing I did was I tried to remove a majority of the sand. So I'm just going to show you guys the bottom of the tank. There is still some sand there. It's just going to take time. I also got a dosing container, acrylic one. It wasn't too expensive. This was from Reef Supplies. Each of the compartments holds a maximum of 2 liters. But the reason I got this container was because I don't have to be overly concerned with where my liquids are at, and because all I was doing was I was sticking the dosing line into the ESV tube, and I'm really not ESV container, and it wasn't really like, there was no way for me to tell whether it was exactly on the bottom. So one time when I wasn't really paying attention, I think I wasn't dosing for like a week because I saw there was a lot of liquid left when there really wasn't. So with this container now, it's much easier. I'm actually much more comfortable just looking at the liquid levels, and I haven't had to top it up yet, but that shouldn't be an issue. You'll notice towards the right back of the tank, I used to have a pretty good sized rock, and it had the elkhorn Monty on it. It was bright green. So that elkhorn Monty is basically growing out of control, and while it was really great, I think I had just too many rocks in that area, and what was happening was it was probably affecting the flow in the tank. So in a bid to just improve the flow, overall flow in the tank, I did sell that rock. And back in about October, I don't know whether I was bored or something, but I decided to run some GFO. because I noticed like I still have algae in the tank. Now, not in the main display, but if you look like in the upper areas, I do have some algae, and the tanks do pick at it. But I don't know whether it's because it's really high, but they just can't really get to it. So I manually pluck it off, but to me, I thought that was an indication of high phosphates. And I didn't have my HANA tester at that time. So, being the smart guy that I am, I ran some GFO with my carbon, and it probably took about a week before the Cali Tort started RTNing. Yeah, notice, and I immediately turned it off because I was thinking about what it could be, and I had my suspicions that it was the GFO, but then I still saw algae growing. And so I decided to run it intermittently. And so unfortunately followed the Calitor made it, but I had a blue tenuous that was finally looking really awesome. And this wasn't like a name tenuous, this was just a piece I picked up from the LFS. But still, it was starting to look really awesome, shooting up a lot of branches, and then it RTN'd, and I did manage to save a piece, so it's not the end of the world, but I have been growing that piece out for, I think, between a year and a half, so like to lose a piece like that because of some silly mistake it's pretty dumb. And then to top it off, the Red Planet also started to RTN. Again, I did manage to save a couple pieces of that, but it's been growing for like a year, a bit over a year, and now I have to go back and wait for it to grow again. So really frustrating. Please don't do what I did. GFO, especially this high capacity stuff, it's nothing to mess around with. And again, one of the other mistakes I did was I just stuck like 5 tablespoons in there, when really, if I did want to start using it again, I should probably have just stuck to 1 or 2 and really gone really slow with it. So all that being said, I did pick up a HANA tester for phosphates, like one of those ultra low ones, on Black Friday, and I tested, and my phosphates came out to 0.02 something. So I know there's a degree of error there, but like at that level, there's really nothing for me to worry about. And this is without running GFOs. I guess the macroalgae is just taking care of everything. So yeah, just a lesson learned. Anyways, so that's my ramblings. Let's look at some coral. Oh, I forgot to mention one more thing. I decided to clean the right side glass, so you can see it's clean now, that had a bunch of these little tiny shells on it. And I was really aggressive with it, and unfortunately I ended up scratching up this tank super bad. So yeah, don't do what I did. You know, be careful. So what I was planning to do was to go through each and every coral that's in the tank, but I took the time to actually watch what I had recorded and decided that may be a bit too boring. So what I'm going to show you guys now is just some tank shots played to some music, and then this will be part 1. Look out for part 2, and in part 2 it's going to be a top-down view of the tank. I really enjoyed that. So thumbs up if you liked it, subs if you loved it, sub if you like the tank and you want to see more of the tank. I am gonna shoot out a update on the 75 gallon as soon as I can. So if you like LPS, definitely sub. Thanks a lot for watching. I will see you guys next time.